Hey guys, Sandy here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing with the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Unforgettable collection. Now this collection was provided to me by Scrapbook Your Joy online scrapbooking store. I'll have their link in the description below if you want to get your hands on some Cocoa Vanilla as well. I am going to be scrapbooking this photo. This is a selfie that I took at work when I picked up my free birthday Starbucks. So let's see what I can do. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is make a grid layout with these beautiful cut aparts. So I'm just going to cut down the 3x4 cards that I'm interested in, and I'm also thinking about these 4x6 cards. These would be great to cut down the 3x4 cards as well and add them to my grid. I'm thinking about it, but I don't actually do it. Now, I just love this beautiful tone-on-tone pink floral paper that I'm going to use as my background. It is definitely a gorgeous pattern since it is a tone-on-tone. It reads more like a solid than a pattern paper. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim 1/4 inch off of two sides to go ahead and mat it on some black cardstock. I just want the pattern paper to have something that it pops against. Sometimes pattern papers that we use for backgrounds just kind of feel like they just go out and like expand and don't really have an ending point. And with this black cardstock, it gives me that pop. And if you saw, the other side of this paper is full of butterflies. And you guys know butterflies are not my thing. I have used them on pages, and there are a bunch of butterfly die cuts in this kit. And I'm going to use them, but not on this page. Not going to happen on this page. Probably not going to use those butterflies on a layout about me anyway, unless it's about how I'm not a huge fan of scrapbooking butterflies. Who knows? Who knows? So there we go. I'm going to do the same thing with my photo. I'm going to give it that little pop by matting it on a very thin mat with black cardstock. And then I have this gorgeous floral that I'm going to mat that on. Now, I am going to have this as a thicker mat for two reasons. One, I want you to be able to tell that these are actual florals that I'm matting my photo on. Sometimes when I use pattern papers, I don't care if you can tell what the motif is. It's just for the color. But in this case, I wanted you to be able to see that, yes, these are flowers. And also, the colors in this photo mat are also repeated throughout the page, so I wanted to make sure that you could see that as well. Now I decided to go ahead and do a sketchy line border. Even though I've already matted the cardstock or the pattern paper onto cardstock, I just felt like it just added a little bit extra to it. And a pen line is something super easy that you can do to really kind of jazz up your layouts. I'm also going to go ahead and do these 3x4 cards, and it's just a single pen line around the edge. I'm not really going crazy with the doodly lines. Now this 3x4 card with the little piece cut out, if you remember on one of the previous Cocoa Vanilla layouts, I said I was going to use that card, and sure enough, I go ahead and use the card. So I'm just figuring out where I want each of these 3x4 pieces of paper to go. And I really don't want the pinks right next to each other. I'm okay with them diagonally across from each other. And I know that I definitely want this 3x4 card that says photo stories over here without any overlap on it, because basically this is going to be the title of my layout. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip those over so I can glue them down. And I don't know, I guess I had a maniacal moment or something because I pull out the ruler. Not exactly sure why I pull out the ruler. I usually eyeball it, but for some reason it was just so super important to have this grid lined up with the ruler. Now this is kind of cuckoo cuckoo because the 3x4 cards, I did not make sure that they were all exactly 3x4, so they're a little off. And then I decide that the way to combat this is to make sure that the bottom of the bottom cards line up with the ruler, and then I'm going to make sure that the top of the top cards line up with the ruler. However, I don't use the ruler to do the left or the right hand side, so for some reason I was just worried about that horizontal line. Didn't care a lick about the vertical line, I guess. But, you know, sometimes when you're in the midst of scrapbooking, the process that you're using and the things that you're doing make complete and utter sense to you. Like, it just makes sense. And then when you go back and you look at your process video, you're like, what the heck were you doing? And this is one of those moments. Like, why was it so important to have the horizontal line straight but not the vertical? Who knows? Now, as you guys saw, the insides of the cards where those lines do not meet up. They're not the exact same size. And my photo camouflages that, so you don't really see a whole bunch of it. And after the embellishment is on, it really kind of fades into the background and you don't notice. Now, speaking of fading into the background, I did not want the little pops of black cardstock I had to kind of fade into the background, and they started to do that, even though I had done all the pen lines. So I just cut out this rectangle of black cardstock and made it span all the way across the bottom cards, and it's basically a little ledge for my photo to rest on. Now, I absolutely adored this flare badge that says snapshots, and I so totally wanted to use it because it mimics the colors of the letters in the card that says photo stories. So I know that that flare badge is happening. And since I have my photo on the left of my grid and the title is over here on the right, I'm thinking of a modified diagonal for my embellishments so that it's going to go from the upper left to the lower right. And I say modified diagonal because it's not exactly from the corner of the left to the right. It's kind of into the page a little bit. And that works for me. Like it just works for me. So I'm pulling out all of these gorgeous die cuts, just trying to figure out what I want to use. And I put this little banner over here on the kind of tealy, minty, greeny, aqua-y. I don't know. This color looks mint to me sometimes. It looks teal to me sometimes. It looks aqua to me sometimes. It's that bluey green color that kind of, depending upon the other colors it's around, what it looks like. So I have the banner over there, and I'm thinking that it's just going to be something little to be on that card so that card isn't naked. We can't have naked tag holes, and we surely can't have naked grid cards. So that is just hanging out over there until I make my decision of whether it needs to be there or not. Now, I decided to bring in that pop of black, just a little bit more. So I decided to go with this label, and I split the label in half so that I can use it in two places on the page. Now, I am messing around with the florals around that flare badge for entirely too long. There is no reason for me to futz around with it as much as I do. It looked great when I first put it down, and for some reason I just needed to touch it and play with it and move it around. Somebody should have smacked my hands away and said, leave it alone, it looks good. I don't know why sometimes we just get into our own heads when we're scrapbooking, and something that looks beautiful, it just doesn't look right to you, and you just have to keep playing with it, and you just keep messing with it until finally you either are so upset that you put it to the side and you go do something else, or you're just like, fine, whatever, just stay there and be that way. And you know, it was almost to that point where I was just like, I'm done, put it down there. And I don't know why it was such a struggle, especially because this Cocoa Vanilla Studio Unforgettable collection is absolutely gorgeous. You would definitely be hard-pressed to make an ugly layout with this collection. Now, I'm sure someone out there could do it. Someone could definitely make an ugly layout, but, you know, most of the time, you're not going to be able to do it because the stuff is just that pretty. So you have like a 0.1% chance of making an ugly layout. Like, those are good odds, so just go with it. But it was super important that I got the flare badge on there, and it was super important that the florals looked good. And they looked good 6 minutes ago, but you know, still messing with them. So I just have a little bit of the label showing over there, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes I think we get stuck in our own heads about how a certain embellishment should be used as well. So you're thinking, this is a label, I should label something. There should be something in there. There really doesn't have to be. A label can just be something that you decorate with. Like, use it and make it pretty. So that's what I'm going with. Now, I did toy with the idea of bringing in some of those gray leaf die cuts just to kind of bring more gray out into the page, because there isn't a whole lot there. My photo mat does cover up most of the gray grid mat card. Now here I am trying yet again to get these arrows on this page. This is the third layout I've made with this collection, and this is the third layout that the arrows do not make it on. I am bound and determined to make a layout with the arrows, but it's not this one, you guys. It's not this one. So as I was telling you, I have like this modified diagonal embellishment. Now I'm just sticking in those gray leaf clear stickers because I wanted to add the gray, but I didn't want to add the bulk of the die cut, so those made it on. But I've got this modified line, this modified diagonal line, and basically the arrows totally take away from that diagonal line. Basically, it turns it into a triangle cluster. And I don't want a triangle cluster. I liked the diagonal line. I liked how that was feeling. And I liked that, just that little pop with the banner. So I put the arrows away and I decided to put the banner back up there and call it good. Because I don't want the naked 3x4 card, but I don't want a cluster up there. And those 3 arrows started the cluster, and it needed more, and I didn't want to do it. Now this tab right there is gorgeous, and I totally would have used it, but I decided to go with the banner. Like I said, we're not clustering up there. I just want to keep it simple. Keep it simple. So now I am trying to add in this die cut sticker that says the best things in life are free. And that's because it's your happy birthday drink at Starbucks. Like, you get your drink for free. So I thought that that would have been cute to add in there. It doesn't make it on the page. Now I do take that photo story sticker and stick it right over top the card that says photo stories. And some of you might be looking at that and going, Sandy, you crazy maniac, why are you wasting it? To me, it's not wasting it. The sticker has a little bit of a different background, so it adds just an ever so slight amount of contrast and interest, and I don't want the title to kind of get lost on the scrapbook page, which again sometimes makes no sense, because sometimes I scrapbook and there are so many words on the page you don't know what is the title, and then sometimes I scrapbook and don't even put a title on the page. But in this instance, I did not want the title to get lost. Here I am again trying to use that sticker. I don't know why. It just kept coming back off the page, but you know, finally I listened to myself and leave it on the sticker sheet. So now I'm just flipping through and trying to figure out what else I'm going to do to this page. And I think that I'm going to leave it as is. There isn't like an extreme amount of embellishing, but there is a lot of pattern. There is a lot of texture, and there's depth because of the black cardstock. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to add those enamel dots and I'm going to call it good. Now I decide I want a little bit more contrast between the sticker and the 3x4 card, so I went ahead and outlined the photo story sticker as well, and that just mimics all the other outlining I did on the page. I'm going to add an ever so slight amount of journaling. Basically, I'm saying this is my free Starbucks drink for my birthday, and then I'm going to just add the date over here on the left, and I am going to call it good, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you click the link down below to the Scrapbook Your Joy online scrapbooking store. She has a great shop that has lots of Cocoa Vanilla Studio in it, so make sure you click that, and I will see you again real soon for another video.